Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 8th of the 8th, 2025. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. Glad to have you all on board. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, along with Daylight M, Lost Missionary, Liz Allen, Diz, Chris C, Mr. Tisk 27, One Angry Pagan, Veg Pie, Francis Winrow, and Saz, and others. All you need to do is hit that big juicy subscribe button, wait for 1 minute, and all your prayers will be answered. The answer will be no. No, you can join the chat. Okay, so we're going to be talking about landlords today, obviously. Bit of a bugbear of mine. Might be repeating going over some old turf here, but let's start a war. Let's start a nuclear war, okay? Yeah, in the Taco Bell. Because this scandal about Rushanara Ali, who has just, typified everything I hate about the hypocrisy of landlords, because these people, and some of you watching this might be landlords yourselves, but they honestly believe that they're doing society a favor. Imagine a job where you don't actually have to do anything at all, other than you'd have to do in your own house, which is, there's a leaky pipe, you have to get the plumber around or fix it yourself. That's a job now, is it? Doing a bit of DIY around the house, putting up some terrible wallpaper is a job. This is insane. Like, the absurdity of a landlord system that sees ordinary people work 20 hours a week just to pay somebody else's mortgage. I'll say that again. Imagine working 20 hours a week, not to feather your own nest, not to make your life any better, not to get, more riches for yourself, not to be able to save for a holiday or to have kids or to have a pension in your old age. No, you're working 20 hours a week of the hours that you work to pay for somebody else's mortgage. To pay for someone else to own a second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house. This is a racket. It's not a market, it's a racket. And it's time people started calling this out. The reason why people don't call this out is because 99% of the people that you hear opining openly in the media in this country are landlords. We know that because they're all dead rich and they're bound to have houses somewhere, a little flat in Bromwich, that they put people into, and then they charge them an arm and a leg to look after their property. And then, if they want to just jack up the price and make it more expensive, and, throw these people out on the street and make them homeless, they could do that. That's fine. It's the market value, baby. It's the market value. You know what the market value of someone else being in your house, looking after your house, should be? Zero. That should be the market value, right? You should pay them. And I'm going to talk about this for the next at least 45 minutes. So strap in. Danger, high voltage, says One Angry Pagan. It's a weird situation as due to my passing, my kids are now my landlord/landlady. That is a weird situation. I hope they pay you well, looking after their property. Then when you pay the landlord, you rely on them paying the mortgage, or like mine, they don't, and you face being evicted. Yeah. So sometimes they didn't even spend the money that you give them on the mortgage for the house. They spend it on drugs. They spend it on heroin or cocaine or whatever it is rich people do these days. Glue. I don't know. They spend it on gambling, an industry that doesn't have to pay much in the way of VAT, unlike other sort of luxury commodities like whiskey and cigarettes, which cause demonstrable harm to society, a bit like gambling. But that's a topic for another day. I feel, this is absolutely absurdity. Britain isn't, we're not beholden to a housing market. We're beholden to a feudal racket. That is what it is. It is a feudal racket, and we need more people calling it out for what it is. It is absolutely insane. And I know there's going to be people in the chat going, but my landlord's really nice. They give me a below market rate. I don't give a shit. They should pay you for being there. You're looking after their shit. If you were working in a museum, looking after all the antiquities in the museum that we had stolen from other countries, you would expect to be paid as a security guard, securing all that stuff. I'll come on to empty houses in a moment, but if you leave a house empty for 2 years, that is just disgraceful. Not only does it encourage crime, not only does it bring the house prices down, it's spitting in the face of the homelessness epidemic that we have at the moment. A small fraction of the population, the small fraction who are homeless, could all be housed in a small fraction of the houses that are currently empty. Use it or lose it. But we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm a bit excited, a bit het up. Just it's a tyrannical power relationship, and I don't think that landlords really understand the power that they have over other people's lives, the power that they have, to do the old Roman emperor thing. And they wonder why people aren't having families. Why do you think? Because the landlord might throw you out in a week. Well, you're going to be thrown out on the streets with a newborn baby, are you? No, you're not. Oh, no, there's no more white people being born. Well, dickhead, if you want more white people to be born and fewer people from other countries coming here who might not be white, like the vast majority of people on this fucking planet, maybe you should make it so that life for people in their 20s and 30s isn't so precarious. Maybe that'll be a solution. But no, here we have this idiotic system that we all think is normal. And that's the worst thing about it. It's like, if we could just take a step back and just be objective about it for one fucking moment and stop going, well, I would like to be a landlord. Oh, but I've got a friend who's a landlord and they're very nice. Oh, they're very good to their tenants. No, they're not. Unless they pay their tenants, they are not nice to their tenants. End of. I own a property in Panama, which I won in a game show. And I pay a guy and his family to live there. To live in the property that I own. Why? Because if no one's there, it gets trashed. It would not cross my mind for a second to make someone pay to, look after my shit. His job is to look after the place so it doesn't get looted, so people don't come and steal the kitchen sink, which has happened before. And that's the way it should be. That is absolutely the way it should be. He gets somewhere to live. I get someone to look after my place. Happy fucking days. Got a dog. We've got a dog. I pay for the dog. I pay for the dog on the, so the dog can eat. So, and presumably bark at people trying to turn up at the islands with to try and take things. I know that I'm the outlier. I know that this is unusual for most citizens of the world. But this is what I think we should have going forward. If you've got someone living in your house, you should pay the mortgage, not them. And you should pay them to make sure that the house doesn't fall into dereliction. And also, if you leave a property derelict for 2 years, if you leave it unoccupied for 2 years, I don't care if you're selling it, right? Just put someone in there. Put someone in there. You're selling your property, okay, put someone in there while you sell it. They can look after the place. You pay them to stay there. And then when, you don't need them to stay there anymore, okay, they can move on somewhere else once you've sold it. But don't leave it empty for 2 years. No, because what happens in my world when you leave a property empty for 2 years is the council come along and take it and put some homeless people in it. Or asylum seekers. Because fuck yous all. Or they turn it into a big gay disco. Woo! I don't care. Social housing. That's it. 700,000 empty houses in the UK. 700,000 empty houses in the United Kingdom. 700,000. Not 7, not 70, not 700. 700,000 empty properties. And councils can't get hold of them. Even if, at the moment, the way the system's set up, like even if the council goes, right, it's been derelict for 2 years, we're gonna take over this and put people in it. It's still owned by the landlord. They can still make money out of it. Madness. Back in the 90s, one of the big sort of social shift happens with so in the 70s and 80s in Liverpool, loads of people moved out. So we went from a population of nearly 1 million to a population of less than 500,000, pretty much overnight. And it resulted in lots of empty properties. And lots of in the mid 90s, when the tyrannical robber baron landlords turned up from the south and they could get buy-to-let mortgages, they bought up loads of housing stock in Liverpool and left it to rot. Because at the time, prices were going through the roof. Like the house prices were doubling. They were doubling within a few years, which is insane and never going to happen again. But also, we had a system in which if you made your house derelict on purpose, like you pulled out all the wiring and the copper pipes, you only paid half council tax on that property. Yeah. Bit of an incentive to be a wrong-un. And there's so many incentives to be a wrong-un in this society in which we live. It does my head in. It does my head in. The kids pay me in grey hair and stress, as you're infected of. Love it. And thanks for the super chat. And Ms. Paula Thomas. I was a bit late, but I was watching Gary's Economics. Funny how you're basically talking about the same subject. It's almost as though it's quite important. Thank you very much, Paula, for the super chat. Thank you, Yuri, as well. I really appreciate it. You keep this channel alive. Obviously, we've not been doing as many shows as normal, but we're going to try and get back in the saddle now. I'm back, obviously, in the studio, in the spare room. I'm back in the spare room with the fold-out couch. We're going to be pumping out shows left, right, and centre for the next few weeks, I hope. And something rather special might happen next Friday if all works out like I want it to. We're going to do a very, very special edition of Morning Brew, but we'll have to see. Okay, so moving on. Yes, so why? Okay, so let's just ask some questions, right? Basic questions. Why is it normal for housing to be treated as a source of passive income? We've got to stop that. We've got to stop thinking it's normal. It shouldn't be normal. It's not normal in other countries. It's like something weird that we do here, which is mad. Why do we accept a system in which homes are hoarded while people sleep on the streets? Why? They reckon that in very soon, right, half of all children in Manchester and Birmingham, right, big cities, are going to be living in poverty. Relative poverty. Half. That is mind-blowing. And why? Here's a big one for you. Why are taxpayers subsidising private landlords through housing benefit, while social housing is deliberately starved of investment? Why are you and I, as taxpayers in this country, paying for fucking landlords to pay off their second mortgage through their tenants who get housing benefit? Make that one work for me. Make that one work. We freak out. Oh, we're spending so much money on these hotels. Oh, we're spending so much money on these single mothers. Oh, we're spending all this money on these children who need food for to get them through the day. Why are we spending money on that? But we're happy to give money from the taxpayer to multi-millionaires who own hundreds of properties. Because in their property, they'll have someone who's on housing benefit, and the housing benefit is paid for by you, and it goes to the fucking landlord, to the landlord to pay off their mortgage on their 100th house. Come on, please. Tell me I'm not going mad here. Tell me this is an insane system. Come on, come with me. Come with me on this one, right? And then the hypocrisy of a government homelessness minister evicting tenants for profit, breaking this own government's rules. The scandal of 700,000 empty homes in the middle of a housing crisis. The buy-to-let scam that started in the mid-90s and how it fueled a property gold rush for those fortunate enough to be able to go to a bank. They fully bought their own home. They didn't need another one. They bought it to steal money off others, to steal the time, labor, to steal the lifeblood of people. We're only here for a short time. Imagine spending 20 hours a week working and giving all the money that you get for that work, for those 20 hours, to someone else to pay for their fucking mortgage on a property you will never own. Imagine that. Well, no, you don't have to imagine, because that is the world in which we live. Absolute fucking crazy. The only landlord should be the state, says one argument. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. They build housing, social housing, mixed with private housing. And basically, if you want to buy one of them, you buy them off the council. If you want to rent them, you rent them off the council. That is it. And no housing benefit gets doled out. We don't need it. It just doesn't exist. If you need to have money so you can live somewhere, you can have money for, the lecky, I guess, and food and stuff like that. But actually rent? Nah, you don't get money for that. No one gets money for that. You get put into a social house, and that money is the council's. And if you do pay rent, then that rent is effectively a mortgage, but a kind of like back-ended mortgage, where if you pay it for X many years, yep, you can buy your council house, which is the system that we have at the moment. Absolute fucking scandalous on every level. So let's talk about concrete policy solutions here. Let's talk about use it or lose it laws. Let's talk about ending the buy-to-let schemes, which have just destroyed this country, destroyed it, I guess. And let's talk about ending public subsidies to landlords, because that is the one that just boils my piss, because I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation where I've been on low income and I've got income support, and I've had to give that money, that extra money that I got because I was earning so little, I had to give it to my landlord who owned a bunch of properties, and it was a fucking cold water flat, and it was horrible. We had no central heating and we had no shower, and it was just, yeah, and we expected to fix everything ourselves because landlords are fucking arseholes. I know some of them are a bit better than others, but it's a low bar. It's a low bar. So let's talk about Rushanara Ali. So this is the MP for Bethnal Green and Stepney, and she actually resigned as the homelessness minister after revelations that she evicted tenants from her East London property. In November 2024, the tenants were told that their fixed-term tenancy would not be renewed because the property was being put up for sale. Weeks after they left, the property reappeared magically on the rental market with rent hiked from, I can't believe I'm reading this, rent hiked from £3,300 a month. I think I paid that for a year of accommodation when I was in Manchester University in Whitworth Park. In fact, I did. That was a year's accommodation, right? This is for 1 month, £3,300 a month. And it went up to £4,000 a month. A 21% increase. Oh my God. So the Eye newspaper broke the story. The Guardian has followed it up. And Ali claimed that she had followed all legal requirements, but it conceded she had to step down because the scandal was a distraction. We could read out her resignation letter. Oh my God, it's so mealy-mouthed and so like... You could say it was ChatGPT, but it's more likely that they just have a stock resignation letter saying, I did nothing wrong, but I don't want to become a distraction. Oh, fuck off. Honestly, fuck off. Like, this is something where I think she should be stopped being an MP, to be honest. I know she's a Labour MP, and I don't want picking up the pieces. But, I mean, come on. This is reprehensible. These are supposed to be our elected representatives. And who were they representing? The landlord class, the neo-aristocrats, the private educated elite of this country. The tax dodgers, the yacht owners, the multimillionaires, the billionaires, the people with the Coots bank accounts. That's who they seem to be representing. And who are they going after? Trans people, disabled people, the people on the lowest rungs of society. And yeah, this all matters because, Labour has been selling itself as a party that is going to empower renters to challenge unreasonable rent increases. The Renters' Rights Bill due next year will ban the practice that Ali has actually engaged in. Landlords ending tenancies under the guise that they're selling it only to relet for more money, so much more money, £4,000 a month. That's £1,000 a week. £1,000 fucking pounds a fucking week. That's £52,000 a year. Like, well, I suppose you're 48, wouldn't it, for the year? £48,000 for a year. I just, for 1 year, to help pay off her mortgage on this property that she's got. Just piss off. Just totally piss off. I'm sorry, there's no defending this. There's no going, but hang on, but look at the other side of it. Look at the bigger picture, Graham. Nah, fuck off. Sorry for swearing. It just pisses me off. Because if people think they're doing the right thing, they think they're going to go, oh, but I'm a good landlord. They had a problem. They needed the fuse changing, and I went and I changed that fuse. That means that I should get £52,000 a year passive fucking income. Sorry, £48,000. £48,000 a year passive income. I deserve that because I changed a fucking fuse. While the people who actually opened the fucking windows so the place didn't fall apart with mold, the people who made sure the place didn't burn down, people who locked it up when they left and stayed there overnight, making sure no one broke in the middle of the night and stole everything in the house. Those people, what do they get? Nothing. A very expensive roof over their heads. These landlords are like, but I'm doing a public service. Fuck off. You're not doing a public service. You're doing a social fucking evil. I mean, it needs to be called out. So, yeah, the minister responsible for tackling homelessness was personally profiting from the tactics that drive homelessness. How mad is that? Jess Barnard, who's a Labour NEC member, said MPs should not be landlords and landlords should not be Labour MPs. I could not agree more. Landlords shouldn't be MPs. Landlords shouldn't be landlords. It shouldn't be allowed. It should be made illegal. It should be made unconstitutional, like private schools in Finland. Unconstitutional. Finland, where they have the best education system in the world, they have no homeless people, and in Helsinki, do you know how many people died on the streets, on the roads, being hit by a car last year in Helsinki? How many people? Does anyone hazard a guess? How many people died in the big city of Helsinki, the capital of Finland? How many people died last year on the road? 0. A big duck egg. Nobody died. In 2024, nobody died. Why? Because they have sensible fucking people in charge who don't go, but I don't want a 15-minute city. I don't want a low-traffic neighbourhood. I don't want speed bumps. I don't want speed cameras. I don't want a 20-mile-an-hour limit. 20-mile-an-hour limit in Wales has saved dozens of lives already. It just has. And saved the Welsh taxpayer the amount that the scheme cost to put in. It saved them that money in the first year. Now it's just got to go on just, essentially making money because every single road accident costs about, what is it, £1.2 million when there's a fatality? Probably more. Yeah. But let's get back to renting. Let's get back to tactics that are driving homelessness. Mary McRae from Shelter said, this beggars belief. The government's own homelessness minister has profited from underhand tactics. The Renters' Rights Bill is meant to outlaw. The Kevin Hollenbeck, this is a really funny one. This is a Tory party chair. I think that was a position once held by Lee Anderson. He said a government of hypocrisy and self-service. Coming from a Tory. Are you having a laugh? You having a laugh, mate? Fuck off. This is not an isolated bad apple case. It's a symptom of MPs being too embedded in the landlord class. We see this time and time again when bills go through into the House of Lords and loads and loads of House of Lords members are landlords and they just vote it down. They put amendments in. They try to get carve-outs for themselves and their crotch spawn. Sex trophies. Room goblins. Oh God, what's the word for them? Children. They're children. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. She's my MP. I didn't vote for her. Her main opponent will be Corbyn's party. We fuck are irrelevant here. That's interesting. That's interesting. Michael says, I disagree. I think when an individual is paid 125% of the property price to a private landlord, they should be legally entitled to the house. No ifs, no buts. Once you've paid above the... Yeah. But that we have to outlaw landlordism. We have to declare war on landlordism because we need to point it out. Because unless people point it out, they'll never know. Unless it's pointed out to people, something like they just go about their lives. They don't think about it. But once you stop and say, have a little think about this, and there are millions of renters out there, that is an army of people, and we get them all together and say, listen, we want a fairer deal. How about you rent from the council, right? You stay in that council house for X many years, and you get a chance to buy that council house. And then the council uses that money to build more fucking council houses, because that's another scam. The buying your council house scam in the 1980s just made loads of working class people to conservatives. It's a great way to convert working class people to conservatives overnight. It allowed them to buy their council house. They went, oh, I love Maggie. She let me buy my own council house, right? Unfortunately, they didn't put the money back into councils to build more social housing. And so now we have a social housing crisis. We also have 700,000 empty houses, but let's get back to that in a moment. So this is an isolated bad apple case. The conflict of interest is staggering when you have Labour MPs law-making and law-breaking incentives in like the same person. The hypocrisy, this destroys trust. It destroys trust and trust. If Labour ministers won't uphold the spirit of the law they're proposing, why should landlords? Hey. But let's get back to this 700,000 empty homes. I can't believe this figure. This is a story that was on the BBC website. I think it was yesterday. And they were talking about, I think it was in Wales, just how many empty properties are. There's 120,000 in Wales alone. Of these, of over 700,000 homes, 264,884 are long-term empty, unoccupied for more than 6 months. While these properties sit idle, 4,667 people slept rough in England on a given night last autumn. So we're talking about less than 1% of these properties. Half of 1% of these properties could be given to homeless people so they have homes. The cheapest and most effective way of curing homelessness is to give people homes, and then they're not homeless anymore. And yes, you might have to put some people into sheltered accommodation because they're suffering from mental health problems that need to be addressed. Absolutely, I'm 100% with you. But if someone needs a house and they don't need any extra help, just they need a house, it should be available. It should be a human right to shelter and warmth and water and food. Not fucking, caviar and lobster eggs or whatever rich people eat, or swans. No, not that. Just the basics. It's fine, right? We can afford it. We're one of the richest countries in the world. Apparently, we keep getting told we've got no money. There's no money for it. Why could we do that, Graham? We've got no money for it. There's money when we want it. There's money when we want it. There's always money when we want it. Thank you very much to Tinkernator40 for the £10 super chat. Change your profile pictures to Clippy. It's being done in protest against the big tech companies refusing to stop feeding harmful content to those in distress. Sarah Wynne Williams is speaking out too. Okay, thanks, Tinkernator. I'll look into that, Clippy. A land value tax would help with landlords. Yes. Well, I should come to that later. I mean, the fact that Buckingham Palace pays about $2,000 in council tax, like there's terrace houses over the street here, that they pay that a year in council tax to live in a fucking one up, one down terraced house, and that's the same what they pay for Buckingham Palace. Because it's a mad system. It doesn't. The cost of your council tax has nothing to do with the value of your property or where it is. Some of the richest areas of the country pay the least amount of council tax. And I'm not talking about proportionate to the value of the property. I'm talking about the least amount of council tax. Because you have places where the council makes enough money from the business rates, doesn't need money coming in from the council, from council tax. And so it just goes, we'll just charge peanuts for it. And they do. They charge absolute peanuts. There is money for endless war, says Daylight. Yeah, there's money when we need it for endless war. Saz. Lovely community here. Oh, thanks, Saz. And you've been a member for 3 months. Whoops. That is pretty cool. Oh, God, please. No more Bramleys, at least for today. Bramley apple pie? What? Oh, Bramley happy. Oh, Bramley. Just seen a news story on BB about Lowe. Made me smile. What a twat. Yes, he is a bit of a twat. I lived in Wandsworth where my council tax was 0. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. Lowe, complete Rupert Lowe. He's a complete Rupert. In the army, if you're seen as posh and a bit dim, you're called a Rupert. It's a derogatory term that you would not give an actual human being. You might give it to a bear. The famous joke about, why does Rupert Bear wear tartan trousers? Because he's a... Sorry, I can't say it, can I? But yes, you know what I'm thinking. I don't want to demonetize my channel any more than I've already demonetized it over the last couple of weeks of not really doing my shows up to the same standard, my same level. Mike might not be joining us this evening. He might not be able to make it for the Friday night social. If you decide that that's the final straw and you're not going to come along either, let Mike know that it's all his fault. No, don't. I'm joking. If he needs a night off, he's very welcome to have a night off from the Friday night social. But let's have a look at the Bristol case study. So this is Anne Devereaux. This is reported in this BBC article. She lived in Bristol. Well, she lives in Bristol. She lived next to derelict property for decades. A roof collapse in the derelict property led to rat infestation spilling into neighbouring gardens. This, obviously, a derelict house attracts drug dealing, fly tipping, public urination, violent incidents. Council monitoring hasn't fixed the problem because it never does. And she says, she talks about the emotional toll. It's wearing me down. I feel scared leaving my house. And this is what landlords don't seem to realise that they do. The emotional toll of these motherfuckers, whether they, basically hold their tenants hostage. They make them pay over the odds for a roof over their heads, or whether they're just neglecting a property they own and causing distress, causing mental health problems, causing anxiety, causing depression. These people are causing so many ills in society. More ills than people coming over on boats. I tell you that now. This is the thing, no one's ever stressed me out. No one's ever done anything particularly bad to me who's come over on a fucking small boat. No one. I'm not saying that all of them are fucking angels or anything, or none of them have never done anything wrong. Some of them do come over and commit crime, but not, compared with the native population, it's much more likely to be the native population of this rock. If someone means you harm, it's usually someone that you know. But this war on trans people, this war on people coming over in boats, it's just manufactured by the newspapers because they don't want us to declare war on the people that we should be declaring war on, the landlords, the private schools, the fash. My granddad did not placate the fash. He fired torpedoes at them. Which is the way you respond to fascists. So, also there's other community impacts as well, declining property values, which I mentioned before, but also, increased crime in the area, antisocial behaviour when a house is left derelict, or an entire row of houses, like what happened in Liverpool, were left derelict. And then you've got the health hazards, from the aforementioned rats and mould, structural decay. If you're in a terraced street and a house in the terraced street, if that falls apart, the houses either side rely on that in some way for their structure. So, adjoining walls can fall down, and it can cause a lot of misery, heartache, and it costs a lot of money. Costs a lot of money because people living next to derelict houses can't even sell and move out. Like when Ben Shapiro said that when the waters rise, that people just move away from the coast and they'll just sell their homes. Who's going to buy them? Who's going to buy them, Ben? Fucking Aquaman! Reeves is really starting to annoy me. She has announced she will not break her fiscal rules and be looking at government departments to make tougher spending cuts, says Chris C. She's a fucking idiot. She's a fucking idiot. I'm probably going to get kicked out of the Labour Party at the next conference because I'm going to ask some fucking awkward questions. If I can, I'll put my hand up. Like, they might not pick me because I'll be wearing a stupid hat, but if they do pick me, I'll be like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Doing the timid approach, right? Did that work for Joe Biden? No, it fucking didn't. Placating your enemies, trying to refuck. So, like, let me get this straight. The Tories tried to refuck, right? And they were like, yeah, we're going to talk about the small boats all the time. Small boats. We're going to do something about the small boats. What happened? They got demolished at the election. What's happening with Labour? Labour are currently on their lowest polling in history. In history. There might be a reason for that. Maybe it's because people want change. And Labour's like, maybe we should tinker around the edges. We need a party in charge of this country right now that can take the populists on by giving people what they want. And going, we're going to take the difficult decisions and we're going to make life unpleasant for the filthy rich because those motherfuckers have made our lives unpleasant for decades now. It's time to take them on. Grow a fucking pair, Labour. Grow a fucking pair. So, what can be done about empty properties? Well, first of all, Future Builders in Bristol, this Bristol-based project, turns vacant properties into affordable rentals for homeless youth. And Becky Hopkins, who was interviewed in this article on the BBC, she's homeless at 18. She's now stable and training as a Royal Navy engineer, which is the kind of life turnaround that you can provide by giving homeless people a fucking house. No one is useless. You got to understand this. Nobody is useless in life. Okay? The fact that so many people are thrown on a scrap heap at an early age because of their upbringing, the way their parents treated them, the way they did in school or whatever, is horrifying. And it's something we do in this country to keep us down. We do it to ourselves. We have homeless people, so the Tories, the rich, landed classes can sit there in their fucking ivory towers looking down on us going, look, peasant, look what happens. Look what happens if you don't play the game. Look what happens if you don't follow our rules. You end up on the street. That'll happen to you. That's why Tories never make any effort to get rid of homeless people, as in, house them. I don't mean get rid of homeless people like fucking Mugabe did in Harare. Jesus Christ. No, I mean like to get people off the streets and into accommodation. They do nothing because they want them as an advert, as psychological torture for the rest of us. So as we walk along the street, we feel guilty. We feel a sense of guilt. Shit, this person's doing even worse than I am. It's got a house over my head. You're walking past these people and you want to help. There's fuck all you can do. And the Tories know that. Psychological warfare they're playing with us, the motherfuckers. I promised me mum I'll try and swear less on these, but sorry, mum. It just, honestly, it pisses me off so much. So much. So, the Future Builders thing, it demonstrates the transformative impact of using existing housing stock. 700,000 homes. I mean, like, most of these places could be habitable within a few weeks. We're not talking about building a fucking estate from scratch and having to go through planning permission and building roads and building, sewer systems and tying up to the electricity network and all that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that. Just talking about going into a fucking house, fucking stripping out the carpets, maybe fucking putting new floorboards down, fixing the taps. You're talking about spending about 15 grand and you can make these places habitable. I mean, if someone told you they could build you a house for 15 grand that was all plumbed in and had lecky and gas and everything all ready to go for 15 grand, you'd go, fuck off, that can't be true. But yeah, these properties, I mean, some of them are proper fucking derelicts, but a lot of them, they've just been empty. They've just been empty for a bit and they smell of cat piss. Okay, cool. Pull out the carpets, put new carpets down. Fine. Just make it habitable. Jesus Christ. So, as I mentioned earlier, councils at the moment do have power to take control of empty homes after 2 years of vacancy, right? These are called empty dwelling management orders, right? They're called EDMOs. And even after they take control of them, they don't own them. They're still owned by the fucking landlord, who, after the council have helpfully done the place up for them, can presumably take the place back and go, yeah, love what you've done with the place. Council payers. I'm going to take that back now and then charge someone £4,000 a month to live here. Hee! But from 2017 to 2020, how many of these EDMO decisions were made, do you reckon? Nationwide. How many? Do you reckon? Maybe 1,000? 700,000 properties, right? 700,000 properties. Maybe 1,000? 1/700th of the number. I mean, of those 700,000, not all of them were unoccupied for more than 2 years, but let's say, a large proportion of them would have been, right? Maybe 500? Well, that would seem to be a very small number, wouldn't it? Think about all the councils around the country. I mean, there's more councillors. There's thousands of councillors and only 500 of these EDMOs. That wouldn't seem like many, would it? What about 100? Would that seem like a piss take? Over 3 years. Over a 3-year period. Just 100 nationwide. Empty dwelling management orders putting in, right? The opportunity to do this exists for thousands of properties around the country. We have a homelessness crisis. We have a housing crisis. How many? 50? That seem absurd, would it? I'll tell you what the actual number is now, shall I? It was 20. 20. 2 0. Over 3 years. I'm not here to sit and tell you that there's some fucking magic way that we're going to get out of all the problems that we face in life. But please, can we just make a start? Can we just make a fucking start on one thing? Just one thing that will make our lives demonstrably better, please. For once, for a change, for a laugh. 20 empty dwellings that were taken over by councils. 20 in 3 years. The process is bureaucratic, it's legalistic, it's blocked by appeals. We need to have strong laws that say if you have a property and it's derelict for 2 years, you don't have anyone living there, then fuck off. It's ours. We're taking it. Use it or lose it. Make it retrospective as well. Think about all the properties in Belgravia, Rotten Row in Belgravia, all these oligarchs, all these Russian billionaires have bought a property. All these slimy fucking foreign slime fucking gobshites, the carbonaceous slime people, the oil magnates. Like the guy from There Will Be Blood, with their fucking milkshake straw, reaching across the room. Scumbags, every one of them. Tobacco barons selling cancer to children in Indonesia. Suing the government. Suing the fucking government of Sierra Leone for daring to put health warnings on cigarette packets. The arms manufacturers making mines, Make in mind, so in 10, 20, 30, 50 years after a war's ended, children are still losing their limbs. And mine, yeah, that'd be great. Let's have them. Let's sell loads of them to Indonesia. So we can put them all over East Timor. Anyway, empty homes are not just a missed opportunity, they are a deliberate act of withholding shelter in a homelessness crisis, in a housing crisis. Landlords and investors who sit on empty properties are waiting for prices to rise. They are essentially hoarding a basic human need and forcing people out into the streets. Housing is infrastructure. It's not a collectible asset. It is infrastructure. It's like people owning bridges or fucking roads, which obviously the Tory government has done. You know, there's sections of the A1M that are privately owned, and every time you drive down them, the government give money to a private company. True story. Look it up. It's a fucking toll road. There's dozens of these toll roads across the country where they count how many cars go along them. And depending on how many cars use it, the government gives our money to these private companies to go and spend on gold-plated swimming pools and brothels and lobsters and shit. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. There do need to be exceptions. For instance, I needed to leave my flat empty while I looked after my father during COVID. Yeah, Ms. Paula Thomas, I completely agree. And there will be, like with anything, I'm going to say that murder should be against the law. Yes, but in certain circumstances, it might be something that has to happen in order to preserve your own being aliveness. There are mitigating circumstances sometimes. Hey, if you've joined an army and there's a war on, you get medals for murder. Hey, look how many people I killed. Anyway, moving on. Well, not actually. I just want to talk about the buy-to-let scam for a moment. So, 1996. Imagine this. It's the height of Britpop. Great year for music. Manic Street Preachers released their seminal album. Everything Must Go after the disappearance of Richie from the band, and the Ash released 1977, which is a phenomenal album, and we had Trainspotting making. Did that come out in 96? I think it came out in 96. We had the Trainspotting soundtrack that to a lot of people felt like the sound of 1996. It was everywhere. Was that the summer also of Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve? Or was that the year after? That might be 97. But anyway, I digress. It was, great year for music. Shit year for renters. Why? Because that was the year that buy-to-let mortgages introduced by the Association of Residential Letting Agencies and a group of lenders. They were designed to make it easier for small investors to enter the rental market. Small investors. But the effect was it fueled rapid expansion of the private rental sector, pushed up house prices to staggering proportions, and it locked out first-time buyers. It created a culture of property speculation as a middle-class retirement plan. And the scale of the damage that has been done is mind-blowing. Around 4.5 million households in England pay private rent. This is 4.5 million people giving the money they get for their time working, giving a huge chunk of that, up to 20 hours a week, they work to pay for someone else's house, for someone else's mortgage, for someone else's dreams, someone else's future, someone else's children, someone else's holidays. Someone else's fun, someone else's drugs, someone else's alcohol, someone else's cognac. Darling, we're drinking cognac, smoking our cigars off the money that's been given to us by somebody else working for 20 hours. And they got this money for working, and they gave it to me to spend on cigars. And there's 4.5 million households in that situation. 4.5 million households. And the average rent has reached record highs. Outside London, it's estimated to be £1,304 a month. Inside London, £2,141 a month. A month. If you're on minimum wage, mate, you're working for you're working for the landlord's cigars. You're working for the landlord's sex parties. Yeah. You're working for your landlord's food that they buy from the supermarket, and then it goes out of date and they throw it away. You're paying for your landlord's waste food. Yeah, you're paying for that. Mental. Absolutely mental. I realise the more, whenever I'm doing these shows, when I get particularly bolshy about a subject, I get more scouse. Have you noticed that? I've noticed that. I'll try and talk proper so that people take me seriously. Because people don't take me seriously if I talk in a Scouse accent. Unfortunately. So rent increases have far and away outpaced wage growth, especially in urban areas. Billions of pounds in housing benefit every year flow directly into private landlords, the pockets of private landlords via their tenants. So we, not just people working, but people maybe working on a lower income, or people who can't work, who get the housing benefit. And they're giving the housing benefit to their landlord. So the landlord who's already rich, already owns at least 2 properties because they've got to live somewhere, right? So they usually live, 2 properties. Maybe if you're a lodger in someone's house and you contribute towards the bills, that's different, okay? I'm talking about people having more than one house. They don't need more than one house. You can only live in one house, realistically. They're more than one house. And, if they wanted to have more than one house, if they wanted to have, a house in London, a house in Skegness or something, I suppose fine, as long as they use both of them a lot. But to put someone else in that house, who's on housing benefit, and then take money from the taxpayer to pay for your fucking Cuban cigars when you're already rich, when we haven't got any money for disabled people, we haven't got any money to feed children, we haven't got any money to fix the fucking potholes in the fucking roads. We're giving money from the taxpayer to millionaires to help fund a bottle of cognac on their super yacht. Isn't that nice? Maybe a bottle of Dom Perignon, hey? Or Moet and Chandon. Maybe, I don't know. Just fucking, it makes me sick. Many landlords are relying on housing benefit, money from the taxpayer, to make their business viable. MPs themselves are amongst the top recipients of housing benefit payments via their fucking tenants. Why are MPs landlords? Why is anyone a landlord? And buy-to-let is a rigged game. They're giving tax breaks, they're giving capital gains breaks, they're giving housing benefit subsidies, and the low interest rates have made it nearly risk-free for landlords, all at tenants' expense. Don't forget, while the price of the cost of your rent was skyrocketing throughout the 2010s, the inflation rate was 0. They're paying fuck all in terms of interest on the loan they're taking out. And the property that they paid £330,000 for is now worth £500,000. And they didn't pay for it. You did. You paid for it out of your fucking rent. Stop it. Stop this model. Let's all stop it. Obviously, if you stop paying rent, you'll be thrown out on the streets. So let's change the system, okay? I'm not asking individuals to make a stand by ending up homeless, okay? You can't really help very much if you're living in a cave and wearing rags, which is what some people on the right think that the left should do in order to make a point about improving society somewhat. Yeah. We'd have less potholes if we recycle plastic into the tarmac. Good idea, Vendetta. Right, as I'm going, as I have a few orders I need to get done this morning before GP appointment this afternoon for third B12 injection. I'll say, good luck with that, Chris. Good morning, Kate, Diz, Al, Graham, the Chibs, Alan, Tusk, Scott, Captain, Martin, and everyone else with a toothbrush and a nose. Oh, thanks very much for that, Chip. And welcome, one and welcome all. So, it's a big game. The rise of buy-to-let coincides with the sell-off of council properties and the decline of new social housing stock. We should be dismantling the buy-to-let model, not protecting it in any way, shape or form. But while MPs are landlords, they're going to fight to protect it because obviously MPs want more than anything else, it seems, to feather their own nests. Now, talking of feathering nests, I have a £10 super chat here from Tinkinator. At least I'm honest about my income, which just comes from super chat. So if you want to drop super chat into the show, you're very welcome to do so. But Tinkinator, thank you. For the £10 super chat, the corporate renter economy is only going to get worse. 3 things to watch out for: exploding debt, rising inflation, and soaring asset prices. These are all interconnected and making everything worse. Yeah, absolutely. The thing that is the big problem is that people own more than one home. And they put someone else in the second house. That is a big problem. And there's other knock-on effects I haven't even mentioned. Like, you look at somewhere like Cornwall, right? Where there's loads of people who own second homes. They have like a holiday home in Cornwall. And they live in London. They live in, all the home counties. They live in Bedfordshire most of the year. But then they go down to Cornwall for 3 weeks in the summer. And they have like a holiday home. They pay someone. To go and like clean it and stuff. To keep it, looking nice, open the windows and stuff. They actually pay people, but they want it for themselves. They don't want people living there, Obviously, a lot of these places get opened up for Airbnb, which I don't object to in certain ways. I think if you're living in a place and you have people come and live with you, I think that's okay. But I do think there needs to be a cap on this idea that one person can own all these different Airbnb properties. Obviously, that's upset people in places in Spain like Barcelona, but also in Cornwall. What's happened is because so many places are owned by people who don't live there most of the year, so they're either up as Airbnb or they're used as holiday homes that are only used for a few weeks each year. It means that the local people in Cornwall have some of the highest prices of houses in the country, and also Cornwall's one of the poorest areas of the country. So it means that people in Cornwall cannot afford to get on the housing ladder in any way, shape or form because all these people from somewhere else have come and bought up all the houses. We don't really get that on the front page of the newspapers, do we? Complain about people coming over here buying our houses. Yeah, because they're coming from our own country. If they were coming from another country, we might have something to say about it. Actually, that's a lie because we don't. Because people buy houses in Belgravia, in London, and we don't say anything about it. People from other countries buy houses in Belgravia. And at a time when we have an acute housing shortage. And they don't even live here. And they just let the house rot. Plastic in roads is a really bad idea as it ends up in the sea, says Tim Ballum. Well, I mean, isn't something like a quarter of the microplastics out there from tyres, from car tyres? And we've got to readdress how we do things. Jesus Christ. I talked about plastics before on this show, but that whole industry is just fucking disgusting. It's the carbonaceous slime people. It's the same people who gave you oil and climate change and coal, mining deaths and big load of slurry landing on Welsh school children, the people who gave us the Piper Alpha disaster, the people who gave us the Gulf of Mexico disaster, the Deep Horizons or whatever the fuck it was called. The same fuckers. Gave us all these oil spills all around the world, the Exxon Valdez, same people gave us all that. Gave us plastics. Said, got to use plastics. Plastics. It's made of oil. And they make fuckloads of money out of oil. We've got to stop them making money out of oil. Fortunately, capitalism is going to come and save the day here, which seems like a weird thing to say because normally capitalism just fucks everyone over. But it's a lot cheaper to make your energy from solar and from wind. Just is. Sorry. I don't know how it's cheaper than drilling out some carbonaceous slime from the other side of the planet, bringing it over here on a container boat, distilling it into various grades of diesel and petrol and tarmac and paraffin and whatever the fuck else, and then transporting that to a petrol station and then pumping it into the ground. It's a bit easier. It's a bit easier to have a wind turbine and just plug your car into the wind turbine. Energy at the speed of light, delivered at the speed of light. Great British clean energy at the speed of light. No, I want a process that takes about 9 months. and destroys the fucking planet in the meantime. Crazy. Okay, let's talk about the landlord class as a parasitic structure. That's what I said at the top of the show. The headline of this show is fucking landlords are parasites. And I knew that was a bit of a contentious thing to say. And I probably upset a few people by saying it, but it's fucking true. We all know it, don't we? We know it in our bones. They're parasites. They do not create housing. They control access to it. If landlords were building their own homes, I would have less of a problem. They are not. They are hoarding homes that could be used by other people. Their income is rent extracted from people who already work to earn it, or from the taxpayer. The taxpayer pays rent. Gives the money to these landlords via the government, via housing benefits. So these landlords can, get a bottle of Dom Perignon for the wife. Lovely. The relationship is inherently asymmetrical. Tenants face eviction if they fall behind. Landlords face no equivalent risk from underperforming as housing providers. The UK press, which is like everyone working for the press in this country, pretty much went to private school and probably owns 17 properties. They often portray landlords as hardworking and entrepreneurial. Sorry, I do air quotes a lot on this show, but like seriously, hard-working. Fuck off. It's not hard work. It's like saying that being a DJ is hard working. It's not. It's a piece of piss. I've DJed. It's boss. You turn up with your iPod shuffle. There's a setting you can put on the iPod shuffle that causes the songs to fade into each other, so there's not a gap between songs. And you just press play and you plug it in, and there you go. Happy days. Just iPod shuffle. On a playlist that I made. Playlist that I spent about 20 minutes making, putting together. And the bosses, once I've made that playlist, I can use that same playlist on all the weddings and bat mitzvahs and christenings and divorce parties that I go to. It's great. Just put on Mr. Brightside and Sex on Fire by fucking Kings of Leon, and everybody's happy. It's your real job. Oh, it's really hard. Fuck off, DJs. No, not a real job. Get a proper job. He says, being on YouTube. What do you do? Great. I'm a YouTuber. What? I just talk bollocks on YouTube. Does that pay enough to live on? Not really, but I'll need to get a proper job. Anyway, so yeah, being a landlord, not a proper job. Not a proper job. Not a real job. Not a real job. The politicians like to frame property portfolios as a savvy investment. It's not. It's extraction. It's wealth extraction from the working class, or the working classes, or the working, the people who work from the hard working. It's stealing someone's industry. It's using someone else's industry, someone else's hard work, and extracting value from that for yourself. And the language of housing market hides the reality. This is about people's homes, not luxury goods. It's not about the value of fucking gold trinkets. God, Trump's fucking White House. I saw some more pictures of that. He's put gold everywhere, like an African dictator, circa 1978. It's so fucking tacky. It's so fucking tacky. The man has just no taste whatsoever. He's just it's grotesque. It's grotesque. And one of the things I always think people maybe get wrong in The Great Gatsby, whenever they make a film out of it, whether it's got Robert Redford in or whether it's got Leonardo DiCaprio in, they always make the 1920s parties at Gatsby's gaff. They always make it look boss, like it looks so cool. They always use like Art Deco stylings, which are popular in the 1920s, and it just looks the business. But if you actually read the book, Jay Gatsby's taste is like really garish. It's just not nice at all, and he's looked down on by the old rich because he's nouveau riche. He's made his money somehow. He's a gangster, but sorry, spoilers. But he's seen as it's all a bit tawdry. It's all a bit tawdry, and that's what Trump is. He's like this. I don't know. His taste is disgusting. It's 50 years and another continent away. It's just bizarre that anyone would want their place to look like that. But this isn't just his place. He can make Mar-a-Lago look like a fucking brothel if he likes. but, a high-class brothel. But this is the presidential palace of America. Can you believe that? He's allowed to do that? Unbelievable. Unfucking-believable. Tacky as shit. Okay, thank you very much to Tim Ballum for the extra £5. That is really kind of you. There is a housing development close where I live where all the properties are owned by an offshore company. Fucking hell. Tax policy associates have a map. That is fucking crazy. White House, Versailles on speed. No, but Versailles was very, very much a product of its time. Louis XIV, the Sun King, he wanted it to look like that because that's what looked good 500 fucking years ago. But now, you fucking kidding me, aren't you? 300 years ago. No, just no. Just no on every fucking level. And in fact, Versailles doesn't look anywhere near as tacky as what Trump's place looks like. I mean, even now, it's just so garbage. It's just so disgusting. Oh, has anyone watched the new South Park yet? With Kristi Noem going around shooting dogs. Worth a watch. Anyway, so yeah, this cultural normalization of saying that like landlords are hard work and fuck off. Turn up once a year with a spanner. That's not being hard fucking working. We need to change the cultural normalization. We need to change the cultural norm. We need to see owning more than one home in a housing crisis should be seen as socially unacceptable. That's it. Just as we ban profiteering from water, electricity, or emergency healthcare, we're supposed to anyway, we should restrict profiteering from shelter. From a basic human need, especially in a country that gets so bastard cold in the winter. So, here's my things, right? Use it or lose it law, right? A property is unoccupied for more than 2 years. Ownership transfers to the local authority. That's it. No compensation above market value for state acquisition. That's it. In fact, I wouldn't even fucking give them that. I would fine them. I would make it so that they lost the fucking house and had to pay a massive fine for shitting up the area. And the council used that fine to do up the property to make it livable again. There you go. £50,000 fine for having a fucking shit home. You don't want that to happen? Well, do up your fucking home, fucking sell it, give it to the council. Offer it to the council. Listen, if you play fair, right? If you've got a property, you got nothing, you can't think what to do with it. You're like, oh shit, I've got this property. You can give it to the council. There you go. And they'll give you the market rate. But you already have a 2-year window to do that. If you choose not to do that, the council take it off you and give you a fine. Fuck you. Right? Okay, there will be carve-outs to that and there will be exceptions, as we've mentioned before. But generally speaking, that's the fucking rule, right? Councils refurbish and use these houses for social housing or with affordable rents, which go to the council, which are, effectively the council's paying itself, so you don't have to pay rent. And this means there'll be a fast-track process with no endless appeals. And we ban buy-to-let. Gotta go. Repeal the 1996 introduction of buy-to-let mortgages, phase out existing portfolios through higher progressive taxation on rental income, restricting mortgages to owner-occupiers and housing co-ops, incentives for landlords to sell to first-time buyers or councils. Squeeze them till the pips squeak, till they sell off the houses they don't need, that they don't fucking live in. Make their lives really fucking uncomfortable. 2 fucking bonuses from this. 1, we flood the country with, more affordable housing. During a housing crisis, that'd be useful. But the other thing, without having to build new homes, this is the main thing that I'm trying to stress here, right? There are millions of homes right now that could be used as social housing, but aren't because they're owned by private landlords. Greedy, inept private landlords. I know not 100% of greedy, inept private landlords are greedy and inept, but the ones who are greedy and inept are greedy and inept. So, it's got to go. It's got to go. We squeeze them until they sell off all their property. That's it. And then the other thing is that, we'll also have all this. We'll have all this property to play with, and because we've squeezed them and made them sold all their property, and then we've taxed them to the fucking hills, which forced them to sell. We can use that extra money to buy nice things for the rest of us. Like roads that don't have potholes. Maybe like a decent train system in this country. Wouldn't you like to have a train network that fucking works? I would tax them to the hilt. Tax them 100% of the value of their fucking property. If you don't like it, sell your property. Oh, thank you very much. You've sold your property to the council, and now we have lots of properties to put people in. Good. Thank you. All done. I don't like the idea of simple solutions to complex problems, but this seems like a good start. So, we'll have, the higher progressive taxation on rental incomes would restrict mortgages to owner-occupiers and housing co-ops, and we would give incentives to landlords to sell to first-time buyers or councils. Third thing, end private landlord access to housing benefits. There you go. All housing benefit payments should be voted through councils and either place tenants in council or housing association properties and lease private homes short-term with capped rents, so that make sure they're not getting any money from the taxpayer. That's it. You're not getting any money. Oh, well, sorry, you can't find anyone who's not on housing benefit? Oh, well, never mind. You can charge more than £15 a week for. Well, I don't care. Really don't care. Really do not give. The shits I give about the people who own lots and lots of property in this country is less than zero. I couldn't give a toss. Couldn't give a fucking toss. And if we end landlord access to housing benefits, it removes the incentive for landlords to rely on public funds while charging market rates. And then we need progressive taxation on multiple properties, council tax surcharges increasing with each additional property. So by the time you own 4 properties, the council tax you have to pay on your 4th property is £500,000 a year. Fuck off. That's it. Don't own 4 properties. Dead simple. You know what? It's like dinner. You can have second helpings once everyone else has been fed. There are people in this country, millions of people, looking for homes right now. And yet there are people who are sitting there with all this food in front of them going, blah, 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 blah. No, you can get your second helping once everyone else has been fed. Once everyone else has got their first fucking helping. So, yeah, progressive taxation, punitive rates on long-term empty homes and second homes as well. Punitive fucking rates. Tax them till the pips squeak. 95%, 99%. Fuck off. And then, we need social housing investment, large-scale programs to build new council homes, which could be paid for by all the housing stock that you're basically accumulating over the next few years by screwing over the landlords. Because the landlords have been screwing over the rest of us for years. Let's turn the tables. Let's take the money off them and use the money that they've given us to build more houses and fund schools and hospitals and fill the fucking potholes. Build new council homes, permanent stock, not short life fucking properties that they've been building since the 60s that only last for 20, 30 years. They just bulldoze them down and build new ones. No, proper, good social housing, mixed housing. So some of it's private, some of it's that people can buy for themselves or people can rent it off the council, and some of it's social, all together on one street. And this is funded by property taxes, the windfall taxes on developers, and redirecting housing benefit savings. Think about how much money we spend every year on housing benefit that goes to landlords to pay for the Dom Perignon on their super yacht. Oh, but these landlords don't have that much money, Graham. Yeah, well, some do. And this landlord myth about them providing a vital service, fuck off. Housing is built by developers and maintained by tradespeople. Landlords are middlemen extracting rent. That's what they're doing. They're not the people who built the house. They're not the people who decorated the house in most respects. They're just middlemen making money out of the money they already had. And this idea that it's risky being a landlord, fuck off. It's risky. Are you kidding me? Housing demand is constant. The risk is primarily borne by the tenants who face eviction if they can't fucking pay. How is it risky? You get housing insurance, the fucking burns down, you get the money for it. How is it risky? It's not like doing a business venture where you might lose everything. This is a house. It's not going anywhere. Fucking hell. And then this myth about not all landlords being bad. I think you have to be bad to be a landlord. Sorry, I just do. I just think you've got to abdicate your fucking responsibilities. Systemic issues don't depend on an individual fucking virtue. Even a good landlord still benefits from structural scarcity, still benefits from this evil system that's fucking things up for everybody in this country, especially the younger generation who cannot hope to get on the housing ladder. We need to reclaim housing as a right, not a privilege for the privileged few. Britain's landlords system is an engine of inequality. It's been normalised. We think it's normal. It's not normal. That's one thing I want you to take away from this show today. It's just not normal. Or at least it shouldn't be normal. Can we stop making it the norm? Can we, please? We need to restate policy demands in plain language, and there needs to be a cultural shift. Landlords should be embarrassed, not celebrated. People took the piss out of landlords in the 1980s. I remember it well. Do you remember Alexis Hale and the Young Ones? Yeah? People thought landlords were just tyrants. Carter USM wrote Sheriff Fatman for a reason. And we have a choice. We can keep feeding this parasitic class, or finally build a housing system that works for the people who actually live in the fucking houses. That's our choice. I'm going to read some of the messages here, and then I'm going to jump quickly into the papers. Woke means avoiding a fly and running into Alexander the Great playing bingo. That's not a description of Bill Burr, Charlie Desk. I don't know what Full Music is talking about there, but thanks for that. Captain Coconut, well, there will be a lot of new available houses for purchase. The housing market would reevaluate itself, crash, lol. The houses will become affordable again. Yep, good. The thing is, a house is worth a house. That's the thing. The actual monetary value attached to it. You know, if you sell your house, even if the house, the market crashes, and you're living in a house that was worth $500,000, and now it's only worth 200,000, right? You can still sell that house for 200,000 and buy another house that also used to be worth 500,000 but is now worth 200,000. A house is worth a house. I know that's oversimplifying it to a certain degree. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to drink some water. Oh my god. We need a new politics, a politics that's capable of dealing with the reality we face. The main problems I see are information impedance, the level of information attainment. This is from Aaron. And ... Leave me in suspense, Aaron. So joking it. How to keep an idiot in suspense? I'll tell you next week. Aaron says, comprehension and ability to react in a timely manner. The level of analysis we need is far deeper than the Commons and Lords can provide. We need a digital democracy that is well designed. Yeah, I would agree that we need to change our democracy to make it more democratic, but also make it more sensible. You know, make it less maddening that we just flail from one subject to another at the whim of Rupert fucking Murdoch, a disgusting old 100-year-old dinosaur from the other side of the planet who doesn't even fucking live here, and yet gets to tell the people of this rock who to hate. And he has done since the 80s, 70s actually, since the 70s. That piece of shit, that Aussie dirty digger, has told people in this country who to hate. And in the 80s, it was gay people. In the 2010s, it was the EU, and now it's trans people and people coming across on small boats. Who should we hate today, Rupee? Gobshite. Trip says, non-avian dinosaur. Why is everyone shouting non-avian dinosaur at me? Am I a non-avian dinosaur? Yes, indeed. So I sounded like fucking Jordan Peterson there. Oh, define dinosaur. Oh, define non-avian. Define. He learned to debate in like just idiot in clown school. Like that man. I mean, like how anyone could take him seriously with that voice, but like Define dragons. Yeah, she said that once. Someone said there's dragons in the Bible. Do you believe in dragons? You went, define dragons. Fucking nutter. Fucking nutter. Anyway, so yeah. What else have we got here? What are realistic solutions to this then? It's all well and good laying out the problems, but what are the realistic solutions? I've just given realistic solutions. I just listed them. You're not paying attention. Come on. One angry pagan. Right. So yeah, we need to have a use it or lose it law. We need to ban buy to let. We need to end landlord access to housing benefit. We need to have progressive taxation on multiple properties, and we need social housing investment. There you go. Concrete things there, my friends, my pagan friends. True story. Okay, the Netherlands have a good model for housing. They do indeed. They also own a lot of our railways for some reason. I don't know why. One angry pagan says, I do not advocate for revolution. History teaches us that it does not end well with such a polarized population. Yes. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Also, there's a in the same way that the right likes to romanticize war, which is horrible. War is horrific. War is the worst thing that can happen to humans. It is just absolutely awful. It is everything that is bad, all happening at once. The left like to romanticize revolutions, which now and again you have the Glorious Revolution of 1688, or you have the Velvet Revolution, or you have the Purple Revolution, or something like that. Well, you know, it's not. It's just a change of government, really. You know, nobody dies. In 2024, in Helsinki, nobody died. Well, people died, but not on the roads. Not by being hit by cars. But yeah, nobody died. Nobody died. That's the important thing. If you all take away from this. But yeah, I would like to see a better world than the one that we have at the moment. And that's not going to happen until we get our heads out of our asses and we put together decent policy proposals and we pretend to be a think tank and we get our friends in the media to basically shout about it. We need to have, bot accounts that amplify our messages, which we don't have. We need to have loads of fake accounts all over Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, farming out content that is left-wing. We need to, control the means of communication. Or at least not control them. We need to use them effectively. But we don't have the money. It's the problem with people on the left. We don't have any bloody money. We don't have any money. But yeah, there are ways of getting things to be better. And if Finland can do it, if Norway can do it, if Netherlands can do it, then we can bloody do it as well. But there you go. Do you think we'll make it? People, I mean. Thank you very much for that quote from Terminator 2. Yes, I do. It is in your nature to destroy yourselves. No, it's not. It's in our nature to look after each other. There's just a few psychopaths with lots of money. And I think the tide is turning. I genuinely believe that people will get sick of the shit that billionaires are giving them, and they're going to turn out and create problems. But yeah, usually revolutions end in bloodshed and violence and awful things happening. And even after all the dead people are, put on the ground, there's still the issue that a lot of revolutions end up with someone even worse getting into power. As the second revolution of 1917 in Russia proved, when it went from Lenin to Stalin. He was nice, wasn't he? How many of his own people did he kill? 40 million, was it? Wow. Let's have a quick look at the papers before we go. I'm going to have to wrap up soon. Nearly half past. You got me for 5 more minutes because I got more shows to do today. We got the agenda at 1 o'clock with Phil. That should be fun. Okay, so we have the Times. How to be a Bond girl. Okay. Israel could cut off security ties if Starmer recognises Palestine. Don't give a shit. Fuck them, let them get rid of security. Whatever, Israel. Fuck off now. Fuck off. They're talking about annexing Gaza City now for Israel. Like, there's nothing down for them. what the Israeli government is doing is so disgusting, is so wrong on every level, and all it's doing is painting a target on everyone's back who is Jewish everywhere in the world. How dare they? How dare the Israeli government do this to what's supposed to be their own people? Never mind what they're doing to fucking poor people in Gaza. And they go, no, it's not real. It's not real. Don't believe what you can see. Don't believe the footage. Don't believe the pictures. I'm like, mate, you're fighting against an information war against pictures of starving children in bombed out hospitals. I don't think you're going to win. Don't think you're going to win. No matter how much money you spend on fucking YouTube ads. Homelessness minister who was evicted as a tenants quit. And then we got this horrific story here. Single-sex spaces off limits to trans women. New guidance from the transphobic equalities watchdog. This is going to be submitted to cabinet, and what they're going to try and do is make schools, hospitals, leisure centres and cinemas will be told to ban transgender women from using single-sex spaces, including lavatories and changing rooms, under equalities guidance to be submitted to ministers this month. I mean, this makes me so upset and angry, and I'm sure there's people watching this who are a lot more affected by this than I am. How fucking dare they? How dare they exclude trans people from society in this way? It's absolutely monstrous what they're doing. And then, what they're going to do in the cinema? Are they going to have someone standing outside the women's toilets and deciding if someone looks feminine enough to use the fucking bogs? Like, think of the consequences of what they're doing here. Think of the consequence. Well, you don't have to. You fucking know. You're watching this. You're enlightened. Can we start using enlightened rather than woke? Because woke's been used as a pejorative now for too long. Let's use enlightened. Sorry, mate. I'm enlightened. I'm one of the Enlightenment fucking thinkers, like Voltaire, but without the slaves. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are they thinking? You're going to have an entire generation of young girls now scared to have their hair cut short or to get a tattoo in case they're told, oh, we don't look feminine enough, when they go for a piss halfway through a fucking film. How dare they? How dare this Equalities and Human Rights Commission do this shit? How is it making it equal for anyone? And who's going to police it? Who is going to police it? And you know what, right? I'm going to say this, and I know that, I might upset some people watching this, but can someone explain to me, right, the difference between, this has got nothing to do with trans people, okay? I just want to talk about the idea of a dirty old man getting on a bus full of school children, right, and getting his cock out, right? And a dirty old man in a swimming pool changing rooms, getting changed, getting his cock out in front of children. What's the difference? You're on a bus, you're in a changing room. You're still exposing yourself to children. No, fuck off. We shouldn't have changing rooms where people get naked together, where adults get naked with children. Fuck off. I don't want to hear it. People might be watching this going, oh, but Graham, I'm a naturist. Like, no. If it's illegal on a bus, it should be illegal in a fucking changing room. Give people cubicles. Everyone has a fucking cubicle. Go in the cubicle. You get if you're in the shower and it's a communal shower, you wear your fucking boxers or whatever. You wear your swimming trunks or your swimming shorts. You don't stand there naked in front of children. Sorry. No, you just don't. The fact that one is a social norm and the other one is literally against the law blows my fucking mind. What difference does it make if you're trying to protect children from dirty old men flopping their cocks out in front of them? Someone explain that to me? Do you want to explain that to me? But not a big fucking moral panic about that, is there? Should be. Fucking should be. Hashtag just saying. Elle says, exactly my argument, Graham. Cubicles. Yeah, no one needs to see. No one needs to see it. No one needs to see it. End of. Cubicles. I've often that the human race may as well. There would be no difference. Well, Elle, don't leave us, but humans are shit. Humans are fucking shit. If you want to identify as something other than a human, You're very welcome to do so. But Jesus Christ, what is going on right now is fucking disgraceful. And I hope that everyone watching this, I know that most people watching this, or everyone watching this is going to appreciate just how disgusting and how horrible and just how horrifying the way that Murdoch and Rowling have brought the whole public consciousness a war against the existence of trans people. And it is disgusting on every fucking level. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, Ms. Paula Thomas. Mahika Gur, who isn't trans, England women's quick bowler, is 6'4" tall. I can just imagine the problems she will have under the rules. Yeah, Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the super chat. But you're absolutely on the money there. Like, we live in a society in which the church has raped children. Both the Catholic and the C of E, and probably the Methodists and the Seventh-day Adventists and the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses, you name it. They have abused children in the past. And yet these entities are still allowed to exist. They're still allowed to function. And they're still allowed to have kids come into youth groups and the parents walk off. And they're like, well, I know we've raped children in the past, but we've changed our ways. We've got private schools that don't have to be inspected by Ofsted, that have raped, that the employees of this private enterprise have a history of raping children, and the institution has covered it up. And yet they're still allowed to take new kids. You know, they're signing up the kids to go to Ampleforth. You might get raped, but at the end of the day, you get a really good job on LBC, so thumbs up, happy days. And also, you might not get raped. It's a risk I'm willing to take, say their parents, sending them off to a private institution, famous for abusing children. Might not even be rape, might be physical abuse, might be corporal punishment. Why do you think Prince Charles turned out the way he did? He was sent to Gordeston up in Scotland. He was bullied within an inch of his life, the poor bastard. Part of me feels sorry for him, and then I remember that if you die without a will in Liverpool, all your money goes to King Sausage Fingers, and then my sympathy runs out. But yeah, fucking hell. So we live in a society where all that's going on. Nothing. But a trans person existing, having a job in M&S, and suddenly it's like, oh, how very dare they? How very dare they ask me if I need some help? I'll tell you if I need help. You person who may or may not be trans. I don't know. Nobody knows. Except the trans person themselves. And their nearest and dearest, I guess. But other than that, it's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. People getting on with their own fucking lives. People just being their authentic self. People just being the person they want to be. And here we are in 2025. People go, nope, not having that. Hey, you don't like trans people? Don't be trans. You don't like abortions? Don't get an abortion. You don't like gay weddings? Don't get married to a man if you're a man. I don't agree with homosexual marriage. Why not? Gives a fuck. Gives a fuck. I don't agree with your marriage, mate. Your missus is a nutter. You're even worse. Why would you even think you get to dictate who other people are allowed to fall in love with? Who other people are allowed to spend their life with? We're not talking about unrequited love here or some kind of stalking shit going on. We're talking about two people who love each other, wanting to be together. And you've got all these horrible little nasty bastards sitting there going, no, they don't be together. Why not? Because. And then they come up with some daft fucking shit. They'll have a quote from the Bible. Or there's some atheists I know who are horrifically homophobic. So they even have the excuse of running on the Bible and going, I mean, these are older people from that generation where they saw no difference at all from homosexuality and pedophilia. They thought it was the same thing. And now we see the same thing happening with trans people. Trans people are now suddenly, all of them predators. They're all sexual predators. They're all Russell Brand, who may or may not be a sexual predator. Yes, possibly, allegedly. Absolutely fucking question. Just, yeah. L said, everyone has an identity. No one questions it. But if you're trans, it's everyone's business. Well, there was a funny story, L, in the news a couple of days ago now, where Kemi Badnoch said, I'm not Nigerian anymore. I don't identify as Nigerian. She was born to Nigerian parents. Her parents came over here to have an anchor baby, which was Kemi. And then she went back to Nigeria. She went to a posh private school in Nigeria, one of the most expensive private schools in Nigeria for her upbringing, where she ratted on someone who did a test, who cheated a test. I know the tattletale. And now she's decided that she does not want to identify with her identity that was issued to her at birth. Okay. Let's just continue that line of thinking a little bit further, Kemi. Come on, right? So, you don't feel anymore that you want to be associated with the identity that was given you at birth. Are you saying you're a transnational? Is that what you're saying? You've changed your nationality? Is that what you're saying, Kemi? Because if you are, then welcome on board with the idea that yes, you can change the identity that was assigned to you at birth. You can change your name. You can change your gender. You can decide that you don't want to be a Nigerian anymore and you just want to be British. That's going to implicate the racists, isn't it? Oh my God, she's so stupid. It's hilarious. Okay. God, she is such a sweet summer child. Although she's not. She's toxic. But just one sec. I do have a cold, by the way. Hence the water. Oh my God. Yeah, civil partnership is not law. Gay atheists. Dawkins is highly transphobic now. Yeah, Kirsty, which is just, and the arguments he made is so fucking stupid. He's one of the arguments, at least the one I've seen, he equated the fact that there are so few trans people with it being statistically insignificant. And he equated it to be like 1 inch compared with the height of the Empire State Building or something. He gave one of his. And I'm like, the number of Tory MPs in the world is 121. And there's 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people on planet Earth. And only 121 of them are Conservative MPs. That means, using Richard Dawkins' own logic, that there's no such thing as a Tory MP. But there is. But Richard, Dick, can I call you Dick? Can I call you Dickhead? There is. I mean, of all people who should be able to get his head around the idea of people transitioning, this is a guy who is an evolutionary biologist. Transition. Transition, dickhead. Dick, you listening to me, Dick? Fucking hell. A guy who spent his whole life arguing with people who pull stuff out the Bible to justify their prejudices. And then he comes out with that. Yeah, trans people don't exist because there's too few of them. Isn't that in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? The population of the universe is 0 because the universe is infinite, and any number divided by infinity is as close to 0 as it makes no odds. So anyone that you meet is just a figment of an overactive imagination. I seem to remember that from my schooling in the school of Douglas Adams. What a twat. I'm sorry. Like, I thought he was all right back in the day when he was fighting against the church and some of the stupider things the church did, but now I'm just like, what the Never put anyone on a pedestal. Not that I did with him, but like, it's just anyone. You know, they'll only let you down. Give a bit of advice. Never meet your heroes. And if you are a hero, never meet your fans. Because you'll only let them down. Right. Back to the papers. Gambling firms face tax hike. Yes! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Tax in spotlight after Gordon Brown suggested 3.5 billion could fund welfare reform. So, just a quick little... I mentioned this at the start of the show, actually. If we tax the gambling industry, like we tax the tobacco industry, and we tax the alcohol industry to the same level, it will bring in so much money. So much money. And it might encourage people not to gamble so much. I don't know, which would be a good thing. I don't gamble. I only gamble when there's no money involved. The money involved is not mine, or when I know that I've rigged the system so I can win. So yeah, I've got a card trick that I do. I took a card deck with me when I was traveling around the world, and I did this card trick. I must have got about 100 free pints out of this fucking deck of cards. It's a bicycle deck, so it's about like £5, right? And I did a trick, and it was just dead simple. I appeared to, we were playing cards or whatever, playing shithead, and then I'll go, I'll do a trick, and I'll appear to fuck it up. And they'll think in their heads, he's definitely fucked this up. Because I've been putting the cards down like this, and then I've gone past their cards, and I made a point of like going past the card that I forced on them. And then I go, right, finger on the top of the deck. I say, I bet you, the next card that I turn over is your card. And I do this on the deck that's in my hand. On the rest of the deck, there's some cards on the table. And they always go for it. Bet you a pint. A pint's not much to lose, is it? And even if I don't get it right, well, I can buy them a pint. It's my round anyway. Bet you a pint. And every time, 100% of the time, they went, yeah, you're on. Because they can see their card there. They think they've won. And you're like, ha ha, sucker! Pick out their card from the pile on the table that they can see. And you turn it upside down. And they go, you fucker. That's the kind of gambling I like. Yeah. But, I wouldn't do it for a house. I wouldn't bet my island on it. So, yeah, we're back over to the papers. But, yeah, tax the rich. Really simple, Labour. Find out who's got loads of money and isn't paying their fair share of tax. The gambling industry. There's one. There you go. £3.2 billion of tax a year. Every year. Happy days. Adrian Dunbar. Men can feel expendable. They lack the structure women have. Men can feel expendable. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I can see that argument. For football, Isaac is still Liverpool's number one target. That's £150 million for a footballer. £150 million. Jesus. And that there was news the other week that a female football player, a woman football player, had been transferred for £1 million. It just shows the gulf in terms of support and money between the women's game and the men's game. Happily, Goodison, the old Everton men's club stadium, is now being used for women's games, so you can go and watch women play at Goodison now, which I think is a really good way of doing it. UK's Minister of Homelessness quits after she's caught ejecting tenants and hiking rent, which we've spoken about extensively this morning, so let's not go on about that anymore. A film that is gripped by paranoia, movie Eddington. That sounds interesting. Daniel Day-Lewis is back, his poor performance ranked. My straw reaches across the room and I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. He's posh though, privately educated, of course. He gets to be in films. Netanyahu defies warnings over taking military control over control of all Gaza. Jesus Christ. So they voted for this in the fucking Knesset or whatever it's called, the parliament over there. They voted for it. They voted for this fucking absolutely diabolical scheme. And then there's this horrific story about Sudan. More than 1,500 people may have died in a massacre at the Sudan refugee camp. This was in April. This is in Sudan's largest displacement camp. And the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, attacked this paramilitary group and in Darfur. And just another fucking horrific story. Housing minister quits. We've already covered that, obviously. We've got Mirror here. Trump is about to meet with Putin is about ego, not Ukraine. That's absolutely true. I had no idea that so many people liked me. Ozzy's last chats with Satch. Oh, that's kind of heartbreaking. And you know what? Ozzy did some fucked up things in the past. Like, he didn't lead a blameless life by any stretch of the imagination. But the difference between him and Hulk Hogan, who died, within days of each other, is that Ozzy tried to be a better person. He did try. Whereas Hulk Hogan died a union-busting, Trump-supporting twat. And he will always be remembered for that. So, yeah. People love a sinner. But I think one thing that people like more is if people try and do better. They try and do better. So anyway, we're going to go to the no jabs revolution, the weight loss pill on NHS. Mounjaro make a confidence of new drug approval after trial success. A daily weight loss pill could be available on the NHS by next year. This honestly, I mean, I'm not going to sit here as some kind of like salesman for this shit. But I've got a few friends who are on Mounjaro or equivalent, and it's done absolute wonders. And it makes you younger. I mean, we're not just talking about stopping the aging process here. It's actually making people younger. Like their organs are becoming younger by using this stuff. It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary, like miracle fucking. I know it's not cure all, but like, yeah, it's quite impressive. I'm sorry, I've got an advert that's come up that I can't get past. So I'm just going to. There you go. Okay, got rid of the ad for you. Oh my God. What the fuck? This is the Daily Mail. And they've got a picture of a member of the family. Kind of a strange member of the family, but a member nonetheless, because they have to on the front page of their newspaper every day. How dare people call my friend Meghan Duchess difficult when Andrew's been so vile? Could this be the Daily Mail? Are you all right? Are you okay, hon? Daily Mail, are you okay? Wow. That's almost impressive. Minister for Hypocrisy is forced to quit. Kind of agree with that as well. Shit. Wow. I've agreed at two things in the Mail. Businessman in relationship with daughter-in-law tried to drown her on holiday. I'm not saying all businessmen are evil, but oh my God. Jesus Christ. And then we'll move on to the Telegraph. We've got no one believed I was kidnapped. Now I know why. It's a story about someone who got kidnapped. How to spot if your friend is a sociopath. Probably worth a read. Actually, it's in the Daily Telegraph, so it'll be like, they read the Daily Telegraph. Ta-da! There you go, Daily Telegraph. Sussed out whether someone's a sociopath or not. They read your fucking shit rag. Minister resigns over mental hypocrisy, and there's a picture there. Mother's Pride to the soldier. Army Foundation College, okay, whatever. Trump wants Putin and Zelensky together for peace talks. That's not going to happen. Living standards will stagnate under Reeves, warns Bank. This is someone called Mr. Bank, presumably. We've got middle class may lose out on best schools. Middle class schools risk being shut out of the best schools as part of Labour policy to impose equality on Britain. All right, love. Train staff want more pay to scan e-tickets. Okay. And then we've got police raid passport data in historic breach. Okay. And then we've got Netanyahu vows to occupy all of Gaza like an absolute gobshite. If he does realise what he's doing, then I don't know what's going on there. FIFA morons back our Linus as fourth in the world. Rank our Linus as fourth in the world, which is a bit mad. And then we've got the Metro here. He's our brave little miracle. This is about the welfare operation. Born with a 1 in a million defect. Connor is now 99% cured after surgeons come up with novel technique. That's a nice news story about kids whose life was saved. So that's good. We've got a super chat come in from Ms. Paula Thomas. The Daily Mail does occasionally remember their role in keeping the police investigation going on Stephen Lawrence. Yes. The only time that I think they've had a decent, they've actually been on the right side of history, I would say, for the Mail in the 90s, when they published the photos of the killers of Stephen Lawrence with the headline "Murderers," and then it said if you aren't, sue us. In order to force a trial that would prove that they actually were the killers of Stephen Lawrence, who's still not seen proper justice. His family still haven't seen proper justice to this day. Next up, we've got the Express. I'm so sorry, but you need to know what they're talking about. They've got a picture of the man from the family, sausage fingers guy. He had to get extra big gloves. Okay, VJ, cool. Being a VJ, being the heroes of MTV and VH1. I mean, some of those VJs live on in our hearts. And then we've got pill for weight loss on NHS, which you covered in the other one. And they've got an attractive woman in a sundress, a summer dress in some sunflower field with a hat. Woman wears hat. Okay, cool. And then we've got Financial Times with the ugly, fucking disgusting man. I was to say, juicy deadline. Trump begins new trade era. Just go away. Talking about we did a whole show on his stupid tariffs, so I don't really want to talk about them much more. They're going to fuck America more than they're going to fuck everywhere else. But they are going to fuck everywhere. And then we've got Bank of England lowers rates, but tight vote forces investors to rein in bets on more cuts. Quarter point drop to 4%. Policymakers split. Inflation and growth fears. Bailey sees uncertainty. And then we've got Beijing's attack on bureaucrat widens with order to cut back verbose reports. China has implored officials to hold fewer meetings and slash the length of reports. A campaign to tackle the stubborn and persistent ills of formalism and bureaucratism. Okay. Right, we're going to leave it at that. Even a broken clock is twice right. Yeah. Even a broken atomic clock is right once a universe. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I'll fuck off now. Thanks for all the super chats. Look, I really, really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much of a struggle it is to try and keep this channel going when we're losing subscribers. It's a lot of work, as Mike will tell you. Mike Dix will attest. But I really, really appreciate our merry band of subscribers on this channel and members and people who keep this channel going. I really, really appreciate you. So thank you for not just keeping this channel going, but also keeping me sane, because otherwise I'd go mad with all the shit that's going on in the world right now. We need to have a laugh now and again. We need to just kick back. We need to go, God, this is mad, isn't it? So we all know that we're not going mad. We need to all agree this is a bit mad. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out if you're so minded. If you don't want to give us a like, you don't have to. Give us a dislike. Just give us some interaction. And until 1 o'clock today, when I'll be back with the agenda with Phil Morehouse, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.